Big time win for him on Saturday. Kind enough to join us here on the program. Next is Dustin Jacoby. There he is. Hello, Dustin. How are you?
Ariel, what's up, man? I'm feeling great today. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations. I don't know if you know this, but we have a guy on the show, New York Rick. He loves you. He's always talking you up, so he's very thrilled about your winning streak here and how you looked on Saturday. So it was long overdue that we have you on. My man, how do you explain all of this? You're in the UFC, you're kind of jumping up and down, win, loss, win, kickboxing, win, and now you're a freaking tour de force. You can't be beat. You're knocking fools out left and right. How do you even put all of this into words, what's happened at this point in your career?
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, man. I was asked after the fight if I believe in destiny and if I think that I was destined to be here. And I truly do, man. I know I'm destined for greatness. I know that I've always been born to be put in this spot. I was born to be a winner. I just didn't know it would take so long, man. I say it all the time. You got to go through it to get to it. And I've been through it, man. I've been through the ringer, and all of those experiences and all of those wins and lessons that I've taken throughout my career have all led me to where I'm at right now, man. And I don't take that lightly. And that's why I'm just so proud of where I am.
What would you say is the biggest difference between this Dustin Jacoby, who we're speaking to today, and the one who was in the UFC around 8-9 years ago?
Experience. When I say that, I truly mean it. When I say I've been through it to get to it, man, that's a lot of times stepping through the ropes, stepping into the ring, going through it, man, just going through the battles. And my time in glory really taught me how to be a true fighter, a true warrior. I fought some of the best stand-up fighters in the world, and guys that, casual fans or even hardcore fans in the United States don't know who these guys are. They don't know their name. If I said their name, it wouldn't stick out to them, but I'm the one who went toe to toe with those guys. I know how good they were. I know what it's like to lock horns with them. And that's why I'm at where I'm at.
What do you prefer more, by the way, MMA or kickboxing?
Well, I tell you what, I love kickboxing. To me, there's nothing more exciting than going toe to toe with another guy until somebody drops. And I love my time in kickboxing, but it is brutal, man. It takes a lot out of you, a lot more damage on the body. There were times I couldn't train for 4 to 6 weeks after a kickboxing fight just because I was so beaten up and broken. But you know what? I really am enjoying my time at MMA. I started MMA. I went to kickboxing. I came back. It came full circle, and I'm enjoying this ride right now, man. I learned to fall in love with MMA again and just enjoy the process.
When you left MMA a few years ago and then focused all of your attention on kickboxing, did you fall out of love with MMA? Like, did you think that, all right, I'm done with this sport. I want to just move on and have nothing to do with it anymore?
I really did, man. I told my coach when I made that decision, I said, look, if I picture myself being a future champion, I don't see myself being a champion in MMA. This is what I said at the time. I was like, but in kickboxing, I could see myself being a champion. I really can. And I proved that to myself. I rose through the ranks. I took my beatings in glory. And then I went on a 5-fight win streak, 6-fight win streak, whatever it was. And I was able to fight Simon Marcus for the world title, which didn't go my way. But again, it was a great learning experience. And I got to have a rematch with him, which I broke my arm. And I had at the beginning, I planned on returning to MMA. But when I was in glory, I thought I was done with MMA. And then my time with glory came to an end. I had a couple injuries. There was a time in 2018, I thought I was done fighting.
Wow.
It was really rough. Yeah, it was a really rough patch in my life because deep down, I knew I was good enough to be there. It wasn't a skill thing. If you saw Mark Montoya, my coach, if you saw his post, it had nothing to do with the skill set. It was just about the injuries and is it really worth it? And, hindsight being 2020 and everything coming full circle, it has been worth it. And I'm glad that, I picked myself back up and got back in there. And, here we are on an incredible streak.
So there was an actual point where you said, like, you told yourself you're done? Did you ever come to that
100%.
point?
It's weird talking about it now, but there was a point where I was completely satisfied. I didn't think that my body could hold up. I didn't think it was worth it. I didn't think doing all the training and beating myself up would be worth it at all. And my coach talked me out of that. And in fact, I was helping Anthony Smith train for the John Jones fight. That's what got me back into it.
Wow.
And I just fell in love with it again. And I was like, you know what? Give me a fight. Let's go try this MMA thing again. And it was really hard to get a regional fight. And that was another thing that was so frustrating is nobody on the regional level, nobody wanted to fight me. But on the bigger stage, nobody wanted to sign me. So I was stuck in that little gap there that was just really frustrating, and eventually got my shot at the Contender Series, and here we are now.
Why didn't any like the big promotions want to sign you? You had a name. You were fighting in Glory, title fights. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it was one of those things that if you look at my record, I just didn't win the big fights. I would get signed by the big promotion, and I wouldn't win. But with that being said, man, look at my record. Look at the guys I lost to. I've never lost to a scrub. I've never lost to a no-name person. Every single loss I have has been a former champion, has been a former title contender, has been a big name. So again, that was the belief that I had in myself because of facing those guys. I knew I was right there. I had to overcome that first big win. And I think the Contender Series, I wasn't too happy I had to fight on the Contender Series because I thought I was good enough to just be in the UFC. But looking back, everything happens for a reason, and I'm glad. It gave me a fight to kind of get my feet wet and give me that confidence that I can compete. And led right into this run I'm on right now.
It's funny. I was just about to ask you that. Like when I saw that you were on Contender, I was like, wow, this dude, like former UFC fighter, fought for the belt in Glory. I don't know you. I don't know if you have a big ego, but there had to have been some sort of like humbling to just go, you're going with guys who are like 2-0, 3-0. You don't deserve to be there. You don't belong there. What was that like for the ego to have to really take a step back in order to get back into the dance?
Well, I definitely had to get checked, man, because I was like you. I was like, what the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here with these guys. These guys are 2-0 pros, 3-0 pros that, they're just trying to get their feet wet. I had already been through it, man. Again, like I said earlier, I fought some of the, best stand-up fighters in the world, some absolute killers in Glory. And I knew I was way better than anybody I'd faced on the Contender Series. And I went out there that night to prove it. I was trying everything in my power to knock out my opponent that night, but he was tough as could be. I just couldn't quite get it done, but very thankful Dana gave me an opportunity, and I've proven myself since.
When you got in, again after Contender Series, how was your confidence? Like, did you feel like, man, I got to do something great to prove that I should be here, to prove them that I'm not the same guy who was here back in 2012? Like, because now it feels like you're oozing confidence. Now it feels like you're on a roll. We're talking ranked fighters now. You want to get a big time. But like, how were you early on in your second go around with the UFC?
I was extremely confident. I knew that I could go in there and compete. I knew that I could go in there and take guys out and compete with the best. And it started with Justin Ledet. And, that was huge. I tell you what, man, to get that first official UFC win, you don't know how extremely happy I was. And that right there just boosted my confidence to an entirely new level. Like I said, the rest is history, man. I've been on a great streak, and I look forward to keeping it going.
I heard you say after your win on Saturday that you were extremely nervous for this fight, perhaps more nervous than usual. Why?
Yeah, just because I had finally gotten to the top 15. I had finally got a ranking next to my name. And it's kind of been the story of my whole career. Like, it's another big fight. And it's like, oh, man, is he going to win the big fight? Is he going to lose the big fight? And I was like, man, I just got here. How shitty would that be to get the number next to my name and then let this guy come take it from me? So I really put it in my mind that, you know what, I'm here to defend my spot, and I'm here to prove that I am a top 15 fighter, and I'm not going to give up my spot. I'm going to keep my spot in the rankings. I'm going to keep catapulting and going forward. And that's what I did, man. And also, Daeun Jung, I knew how good he was. He's a big guy. He's a quick guy for 205. He had the huge, 15 fight unbeaten streak. And I just knew he was a very up and coming, tough competitor. And I had to go out there and make a statement. And I was so happy when I did.
Considering that, this was your first fight as a ranked fighter, considering the stage, ABC, big time crowd, new arena, the opponent who you respected, and then the finish, possible that this was like the greatest moment of your fighting career, both MMA and kickboxing?
Oh, 100% without a doubt, man. It was phenomenal because, another thing, everybody was complaining about the early morning card. And, the only thing that sucked about it was the report time. We had to report down there at 8 a.m. It was already East Coast, so it's hard getting to bed a little bit early. And getting up that morning sucked, but everyone had to do it. I knew that wasn't going to be an issue. Everyone kept asking me at interviews, How do you feel about fighting in the morning? For one, we always train in the morning at Factory X anyway. I'm a morning guy. I get my strength and conditioning done at 6 a.m. I get all of my training done by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm done with everything, so I can enjoy my afternoons. So that wasn't a big shock to me. But for two, man, the crowd was a pleasant surprise because I was the third fight on the prelims. Usually when you're the third fight, there's maybe 1,000 people in there. It's not packed. You don't feel the excitement. You don't feel the energy. But when I was standing in that tunnel, my opponent walked out. He had a super awesome walkout song, by the way, which got me pumped up. But I was standing there. And there was so many people just welcoming me, and it looked packed. I was like, "Holy crap, man! This is one of the biggest crowds I fought in front of." And it's 10 o'clock in the morning, 11, whatever time it was. They brought the energy, man, and I was just feeding off of it and had a blast.
And the New York crowd seems to like you. I know you fought in New York not that long ago. Some people don't like fighting in New York. Taxes, this, that, and the other. It seems to be treating you well.
Hey, man, New York has been good to the Hanyak. When I fought there at the Madison Square Garden in November, the crowd loved me. I was feeding off of their energy. I don't know if it's the walkout song, Tom Petty, Running Down a Dream, or what it is, man, but they do accept the Hanyak. They welcome him, and I enjoy fighting for those guys.
By the way, what does Hanyak mean? That's your nickname that you're referring to. What does that mean?
Yeah, the Hanyak's my nickname. It's what my grandma always called my twin brother and I, my grandma, grandpa, mom, when we were younger, when we were racing hell, when we were being crazy. She'd be like, "You guys are being little Hanyaks. You need to calm down." But it's kind of a German thing. It's a Polish soldier, a rebel without a cause. It's an aggressive athlete. And, it's a cool story. The first time I had that nickname, a good buddy of mine stood at my wedding, grew up with. He's like, man, he's a huge fight fan. He's like, dude, I've got the perfect nickname for you. I think you should be the Hanyak. And I'm like, no way, man. I was like, my grandma used to call my twin brother and I little Hanyaks when we were being crazy growing up. And I had already been cut by the UFC and I was training for an MMA fight. And I got this opportunity. It was a Wednesday night. The fight was on Friday for Glory Kickboxing. It was an 8-man tournament. And the winner got $20K and a big contract with Glory. I'd never heard of Glory before in my life. That Thursday morning, man, I was driving. On Thursday, I got in my car. I grabbed a couple buddies. We drove to Tulsa, Oklahoma from Springfield, Illinois. We get there. I draw the number one guy. Again, it's 3 fights in one night. I'm in the back. I'm getting my hands taped. And the guy comes up. He's like, "Hey, do you have a nickname?" I said, "No." And he's walking away. Out of nowhere, it just hit me. I'm like, "Hey, man, but hold on." I was like, "You know what? Tonight I do. Go ahead and call me the Hanyak." And I won every fight by knockout that night, and the Hanyak just emerged. It stuck that night, man. So February 1st, 2013, I won my first kickboxing tournament, first time fighting multiple times in one night, and the Hanyak was there to stick.
Wow. And he didn't know that your grandmother used to call you that?
No, he had no idea.
What are the chances?
I was so shocked that he said that. I'm like, dude, no way. So yeah, man, the Hanyak, and it's perfect, man. And I tell you what, it's like when Kobe Bryant created the Black Mamba, man, it created that alter ego. That it's like the Hanyak's a different guy. He's a crazy guy. The Hanyak goes and fights people. Dustin Jacoby, he's a cool, calm, chill dude. But when the Hanyak comes out, man, that's when you better put the women and children to bed. And that's how it sticks, man. It feels good.
I love it. That is a tremendous story. By the way, you mentioned kickboxing, like on your body. It's brutal. It takes you a long time to recover. Do you find it more brutal than MMA?
Oh, absolutely. Now, MMA, I think the training is a little bit harder. Kickboxing, you get to just stand up or focus on stand up, hitting mitts. You're doing a little bit more sparring. MMA, I think the training's more intense because of all the wrestling, all the grappling, all the up downs. I'm not a huge fan of. But when it comes to the fight itself, I think MMA is much easier on the body compared to kickboxing.
Wow. That is interesting as well. I don't know if a lot of people would think that. By the way, nice influx of kickboxers coming to MMA. Of course, none bigger very recently than Alex Pereira. And it sounds like he's going to get a title shot. You think he beats Izzy?
Man, that's an interesting matchup. I fought Pereira. It's the only time I've ever been knocked out. The guy knocks everybody out with the left hook. I can say that loud and proud because there's several guys that have fallen victim to him. And he's just a dangerous man. Izzy is, I know he holds a 2-0 record, but again, that's kickboxing. And one of those fights, I think was a really good fight that could have gone either way. And Izzy's just different inside the MMA octagon. He's got good defense. He fights really smart. He's got high IQ. I'm a big fan of both guys. I don't have a prediction. I think the fans are going to win that one, but to say I would never bet against Pereira, man. That guy can literally touch anybody and knock them out at the drop of a dime. So Izzy's got to be careful. But again, he's the champ. He's the best in the world, and I think he's got a good shot of retaining the title.
Would you say, Alex? You know, I hear from Glover and other people, one of the hardest hitters that they've ever come across since you've been in there with him. Would you say hardest, or maybe like number one hardest that you've ever come across?
Number one, hands down.
Wow.
It's not even a close comparison. Dude, I have a great chin. That's something, it's not something to be real proud of, but if you're going to be fighting people for a living, you better bring that to the table. If you got a good chin, you got a good chance of staying in the fight. And with him, he just touches people different. I've been able to take a lot of punches from a lot of guys that are solid. The Un Jung got me with one. He got me with one shot. It was a clean right hand. But I took it like nothing. It never fazed me one bit. I've yet to be rocked here in the UFC, and I fought a lot of big guys. Pereira just hits different, man. He's got that power.
Do you ever want to go back to kickboxing?
No, man, this is it for me. I'm in the UFC. I'm back where I started. I'm back where I belong. And, I'm not going to be that guy that, when my run's done 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, who knows, 10 years, I'm not putting a cap on it. But when my run's done with UFC, I'm done fighting. I'm not going to go out and, fight guys on the regional scene and let people make a name off of me and do this for fun. I don't like doing this for fun, man. I enjoy the perks of the game. I enjoy making some loot and getting the recognition and fighting the best in the world. I don't want to go fight on the regional scene.
But when you were considering not fighting anymore, like what would you have done? What do you think you do when you're done?
Geez, that was another thing I was having a hard time dealing with, man. I've been an athlete my whole life. I played 4 years of college football. I started taekwondo at an early age. I started wrestling at an early age. My twin brother and I have been super competitive, and I've always just been a locker room guy. I've always been around the boys. I've always been a part of sports, and I had no idea what I would do. Now I would be I would coach of some kind. I love kids. I love mentoring people. I think I bring the best out of people. I think I can make anybody do what they're capable of doing or help them anyway. So I think coaching's in my future. And that's probably what I would have done. And I don't know if it would have been coaching mixed martial arts, to be honest. I think I'd be more of a football coach, more of a, sports guy. So, but I was I was struggling with that. I didn't know what I was going to do, and because deep down I knew I should be doing what I'm doing right now. And that's why I'm here, man. I've always had that self-belief and it's gotten me this far and it's going to keep me going.
Your twin brother, I believe he has fought or fights. Has he?
Yeah. He got into fighting before me. That's why we were 20 years old. I was playing college football and he hit me up and he was much more of a fighter than I was, man. I'm a really good athlete and then I've got good hands. I was always kind of boxed for fun, but my brother would fight at the drop of a dime. He's a badass. And of course he's 34 now. He's got he's a lineman, journeyman for Ameren. He's got a great job. He's got 3 beautiful girls. He doesn't fight anymore inside or outside of the cage. But he got into it. He called me up. He's like, dude, I'm getting in a fight. It was like a Tuesday. He said he was fighting on Saturday. I'm like, what do you mean you're fighting on Saturday? I thought a fight just happened. He's like, no, dude, it's called MMA. You put these 4-ounce gloves on. I never watched a fight before.
Wow.
He's like, we have weigh-ins. We face off. We go and we fight each other in a cage. I'm like, I was mind blown. I started Googling MMA in my college dorm room at 20 years old. And he got into fighting before me. And I got asked there, like, when are you going to get into it? I'm like, no way would I ever do that. And well, here we are, 12, 13 years later, I'm still going. And it's been a crazy ride, man.
That's kind of wild because you're 34 and you're saying that you were 20 when you got this call from your brother. So if my math is correct, that's like 2008. UFC was pretty popular.
Exactly.
You had never heard of it?
Had never heard of it. Had never watched a single fight. And then in 2008, that's when I had July of 2008, I had my first amateur fight, and that's when I became a huge fan of guys like Chuck Liddell, Rampage Jackson, and Forrest Griffin. Yeah, those were my guys, man. That's Anderson Silva. That's when I first started watching, 2008.
But like from the time you got that call from your brother, how long until you actually have an amateur fight?
So that's another funny story. He had fought a couple times. This was this probably would have been be very beginning of 2008. And then my brother fought 2 or 3 times. I'm like, dude, I'd go in there and knock out whoever I fought hands down. And it was a joke. He's like, oh, you would, huh? And I was like, yes. So that summer he signed me up for a fight. He's like, hey, a guy dropped out at 205. You want to fight? And I was still playing college football. I was like, hell yeah, I'll fight, dude. I'll go knock that bum out. And then it got closer. I'm like, I'm not really doing that. He's like, bro, you're signed up. Like, you're on the card. Like, if you don't fight, it's going to show that you pulled out. And I'm like, what? I was like, I was like, whatever, dude. Let's go do it. And sure enough, I tell you what, one of the coolest knockouts I've ever had. I knocked that guy out in 55 seconds. He was out cold for like 5 minutes. They had to use smelling salt to get him up, and it went from the entire arena just going absolute bonkers to it was dead silent, and all you could hear was his wife like crying next to the cage.
Oh my God.
And they finally woke him up, and he woke up without a mark on his face. Great story. This guy owned a pizza place. This was in Quincy, Illinois, where I played football. And I had that fight on Saturday. I ordered a pizza on like the Sunday or Monday. And the guy owned the pizza joint. He saw that I was the one that ordered it, and he delivered the pizza himself and said, hey, man, I was like, what? I was like shocked. I'm like, wait, you're a delivery guy? He's like, no, I own the place. But so it was crazy, man.
What, like, was he mean to you? What did he say?
No, he was super cool. He was like, man, that was cool. He's like, I was scared to death. You were, he wasn't in the best of shape. And I was, I had a really nice tan that summer, and I was college football. I was like Jack. So he was giving me props, man.
Yo, I don't know about you, but I would think twice before eating that pizza. I just knocked out the guy. Now he's making me a pizza. Did you have like at least a second, like maybe this guy's going to put something in here, I'm going to get sick?
I didn't even think about it. I was 20. I'm like, I wouldn't even care, man.
That's true. By the way, did you ever have a shot at making NFL or some, arena or something like that? CFL?
So, no, that was always my dream. I really thought, I have this incredible self-belief in myself, and I was a good athlete, man. I was all-state football player. And in my senior year of high school, I tore my MCL, my PCL, my LCL, and a partial ACL. Second round of the playoffs, we were the number 1 team ranked in state. I was the quarterback, and we ended up losing the very next game. And I had a lot of Division I offers. I was talking with a lot of coaches, and when I got that injury, they basically told me that they were going to take the athlete without the injury, which I totally, at the time, I didn't understand, but I totally get that looking back now. And dude, that was the first time I'd ever been depressed in my life. Looking back, and I don't believe in depression. I've never been that type of guy, but I was truly depressed. I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. I didn't have an identity if I wasn't, the star quarterback or on the football field or basketball court. That was my identity. And when I got hurt, it was the first time ever that I realized I wasn't invincible. And it was so crazy. My grandma told me at that time, everything happens for a reason. And I ended up going to this school, this NAIA school I would have never in a million years went to. I would have never even given them a second thought. But that's where I ended up meeting my wife. She played college softball, college volleyball, and I met her. And I would have never met her had I not injured myself and went to that school. So I truly believe everything happens for a reason. Yeah, we've it's funny. Yeah, we've been together ever since. And she saw my very first amateur fight. We were dating for like 3 months, and I had that fight. And she's like, I didn't fight people. She's like, what? You're gonna go fight? I was like, yeah, we're gonna go throw down and see who can knock out who. And yeah, we've been together ever since. So it's crazy, man. It's how everything's worked out.
Was she there on Saturday?
Yeah, she was there. She's always there, man. She's all of her family was there. She's I've got the best support system in the world and the best person by my side. She's been there since day one. She's given everything. She's given up everything. She's moved with me. She's had my back. She's believed in me as much as I have. And man, yeah, behind every good guy is a good girl. And I'm so lucky, man. I mean, I am incredibly blessed in that way.
Wow, that is beautiful, man. I'm very happy for you. Before I let you go, so now who do you want? Who's next? We're due for a big fight, right?
We are, man. Yeah, I want a top 10 fight. I want Volkan Ozdemir. I think that would be a great fight. I know he's fighting this weekend against Paul Craig, and I really hope he wins because that's the fight that I wanted this last fight. And actually, it was offered, but he couldn't get into the United States, and I couldn't fight in June. I still had some injuries I was overcoming, and they offered a couple guys ranked above me. I just couldn't fight when they were offered at the middle of June, and that's how Jung came about. I was like, yeah, man. They're like, if you need more time, everyone else is booked. Why don't we take Deun Jung? I'm like, well, okay, so be it. Let's do it. And I knew it was risky. I had to defend my spot. He was surging, but I did that. And now I'd love Ozdemir to get a big win this weekend. And I'd love to fight him.
If Craig wins, we want Craig?
If Craig wins and they offer Craig, I'll take Craig, man. Of the two, I think Ozdemir would be a better dance partner, but at the same time, man, I'm not getting any younger. Whoever they offer, I'll take either one. I think Craig's very dangerous on the ground. I think Ozdemir is a better fighter. I think Craig's a better jiu-jitsu guy. When it comes to MMA and fighting, the jiu-jitsu doesn't worry me. If we're going to grapple, yeah, the jiu-jitsu would worry me. But when we start, every fight starts on the feet, and when we're fighting, I truly believe I can win any fight. So, yeah, whoever, man, I guess the winner of that fight would be the one.
Well, you're on fire, my man. You're killing it. Well done. Congrats on the big win. Tremendous finish. Well deserved. I believe you got a bonus, right? Because you got the finish. So I think that's a good thing that they're doing, giving out those bonuses now. I think they should give it to everyone who gets a finish on every card, if you ask me, but no one did. Well done on the recent streak and your story. Really great to have you on the show, and I wish you continued success.
I appreciate you, man. It's an honor to be on this show. So many people see this. I've seen so many people on this show, and to be able to be asked to be on this show, I was nervous for that too myself, man. I'm not going to lie. So this was cool. Hopefully it's, I know it's the first time. Hopefully it's not the last time. And real quick, I want to give a big shout out to a tequila sponsor of mine, El Bandito Yankee. It's a startup. It's some really good tequila, and I need people to hear about them and to give them a shot, man. It's good stuff. And also Fit Soda. It's a Fit Soda drink made up of BCAAs and electrolytes and no sugars in there. So very good stuff. If I had kids, I want to have them drinking soda. I'd have them drink a Fit Soda. It tastes exactly like a soda, but much healthier and a lot more benefits, man. So I want to give a shout out to those two companies for having my back. And as I continue climbing the ranks, those guys will be with me.
I love any company that supports fighters. So shout out to both of them. Shout out to you, my man. Well done. Congrats. We'll have you on very soon again.
My man, I appreciate you. Have a great day, bro.
You too. There he is, Dustin Jacoby. I love it.